feel like a teacher. This is great. Always imagine wielding this kind of power. Anyway, thank you for showing up at 9 a.m. to this presentation. How many of you guys are familiar with Lingoteks? It's overwhelming. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate your interest.
You've never heard me, just come here there.
Security's pretending not to know anything, which I appreciate too. Remember the questions I asked you to ask. I anticipated that a lot of folks would not have heard of Lingoteks, and so probably consequently not so familiar with the product. I have two presentations. It's not meant to be overly formal. One is a product tour, and the slide deck goes through sort of screen by screen, talking about some functionality, probably more for my benefit to make sure when I give a live demo, I'm actually covering all the functionality of the software. The other presentation is about two use cases. The use cases are for two different organizations, very different organizations. One is, we're based in Utah, so one is the LDS Church, which some of you may know as the Mormons, and they have 13 million members, and they're actively using crowdsourcing and community translation in a pretty big scale. We're also working with Adobe, have been for a number of years. Adobe is using community translation with their product user groups and partner channel, and so we'll be talking about that as well. So I figure first off, let's talk about the product and go through that. That'll give you some context to sort of who we are, what we do, and what the product looks like. Obviously, feel free to interrupt anytime and shoot me some questions. So I guess first off, Lingoteks is designed as a collaborative translation platform. So the distinctions I make between platform and tool is a platform pulls together lots of different functionality within one piece of software and allows for expansion, extensibility within the software. So for example, we are natively web-based software application. It has things like project management, translator workbench, ways to ingest and push back content via REST and SOAP-based APIs. So we fit into existing content lifecycle workflows. And we've implemented something called OpenSocial. How many of you guys know what OpenSocial is? Thank you. Okay, George and Kirti, you guys get gold stars. So OpenSocial is a reference implementation for sort of the OpenSocial gadgets. If you're familiar with Facebook, you have different applications you can add to Facebook. So if you think about stepping back a little bit, think about Facebook as an operating system, Facebook as a way to customize software as a service. So you have, how you doing? This way of delivering a core platform, but also allowing for third-party developers to drop in functionality within your software. OpenSocial is one implementation of that, and there's a world of thousands of OpenSocial implementations. So similar to the iPhone App Store, you can sort of pick your apps and drop that in. So I'll show you how we've enabled gadgets within the Lingoteks software platform. Okay. Quick company background. We're a 4-year-old software company. One of our sort of core initial businesses was with the federal government. So not dissimilar from, say, Kirti's previous employer, Language Weaver. The government does pay for translation software. One of our investors is the CIA. So we spend a lot of time with the federal government. As you know, the CIA's core business is tracking foreign governments, foreign corporations, foreign individuals, and analyzing that data. All that data is in foreign languages. And so the first step in pretty much all of their workflow has to do with translation. So it's sort of a core piece of their business. We're also working more broadly with the intelligence community in the U.S. So anyway, just gives you a little backdrop. But our core commercial focus is on community translation, and so I'm looking forward to showing you the software. So just a quick view of what we're going to look at, simply just logging in. Again, it's web-based. And if any of you want a username and password after the session, let me know. I'm happy to set you guys up. So Let's go in, logging in, pretty straightforward. The public version we do sell it as an enterprise software, which is premise-based, and people buy their own hardware. Generally speaking, commercial clients use the web-based SaaS model for delivery. You log in and you do that, creating a project. So let's talk about this. This is probably a good place to start. I do have a live demo, so once we get into it, we can sort of tool around within the software. There is inherently project management built into the software. The idea of loading documents, you can load documents via sort of a one document upload. You can upload a zip file with lots of documents. You can integrate it to your CMS or whatever content repository you have, pull that content in, and programmatically define sort of what kind of workflow you want that content to go through. You define the language pairs. Lingoteks supports all language pairs, not just a few, so we support it sort of language agnostic, if you will. You can set one document to go into 10 languages, hundreds of languages, whatever the case may be. Support various formats from open offices, Microsoft offices, property files, resource files, XML files, a ton of different file formats. First step is creating a project. Next you have additional configuration options. In this case, sorry that the screenshot is coming off a little small here. Let's see if I can actually so it is this translation platform, but one of the core differences is we have this massive data repository of translation memories. These translation memories, it's a 4-year-old company, so we have about 5,000 freelance translators actively using the software, various clients, and they have an option to save those TMs to what's called a public vault, or sort of term for a TM database. So they can save it in their own vaults that are private. They can tag it with different tags if they'd like, so you can sort of search across domains, if you will. But you can also choose to save those TMs to a public vault and share those across clients. So unique in software as a service where sort of core to the selling propositions often, how do you secure my data, how do you protect my data, and we certainly can answer those questions. But we're also trying to encourage our clients to adopt a new mindset, which is sharing their translation memories. The idea, the best way for it to put is that these TMs don't have any value to other people unless they're shared. So, if you share them, then they can be used to train and teach. One of the things we'll talk about is sort of our machine translation integrations and how Lingoteks becomes a core piece of retraining machine translation. So you can define in the advanced options where to save the TM to, which vaults you want to search against. So some translation memory vaults will have better, more relevant results. Additionally, you can add dictionaries. So you can add dictionaries that are in the system to a project, or you can upload your own dictionaries. And you can add different MT engines. So just talking about that briefly, we've integrated in with Google Translate, Microsoft Live Translator. In the federal space, almost exclusively they use Language Weaver. One of the things we've done with Language Weaver, which we're exploring with other engines, is the idea of retraining. So when I talk to a lot of organizations, especially in the government, one of the things I say is that Lingoteks as a translator workbench is a great way to capture and create TMs at its core. If you look at, throughout all the other benefits, you're creating translation memories. And what that does for the government specifically is allow them to retrain the machine translation, process tons more data than they have before in an automated fashion, where now it's heavily manual. Okay? So you can create document priorities. You can create different phasing or workflows. So you can do translation 1 review. You can do community translation, 2 reviews, content and language reviews. You can define all these different things. So I guess in one way we also think of the idea of accommodating lots of different workflows. Different kinds of content have different kinds of needs for quality. So some things you can define it to say, I want to machine translate up front, and present the translator simply or review or post-edit mode.